and you can also start a business with this. For the ingredients, I'm going to be using 2 sachets of milk flavor, then I'm going to be using some baking powder, I'm going to be using a pinch of salt, then evaporated milk. I used 2, then I'm using nutmeg. I'm also going to be using some butter or margarine. I use margarine because butter is quite expensive. Then I used some eggs. I used about 15 eggs. Then I used sugar and I used flour. So I also set aside some flour which I'm going to use to flour my surface so that the dough does not stick. So when I went to the market and I saw that I still had some change, I got this beautiful pizza cutter that I'm going to use to cut the Chinchin so that it saves time. It actually saved time, but it was quite stressful as well, but it saved time. I'm going to begin by sifting the flour. At times, this flour has worms, it has hair, it has some other particles in it. So I just like to sift it so that I'll be on a very safe side. So I'll sift every single thing before I add in my other dry ingredients to this. So I just went in with my salt. This is like half a tablespoon of salt. Then I went in with my sugar. Do not worry, the list of the ingredients and the measurements will be in the description box below, and it will also be in the comment section down below. Do well to check it out. Then I'm also going to add in my milk flavor. If you're using milk flavor, then you want to skip vanilla extract. You can also add it if you want, but that is you doing so much. I went in with the nutmeg powder, then I went in with the baking powder as well. Then I want to use the natural audio of this of the background, but I don't want the football that I was watching to interrupt, so that's why I'm kind of reducing it. But don't worry, I'm going to increase the volume. Then I'm just going to mix everything well to combine before I go in with my wet ingredients. Now in a separate bowl, I'm going to crack in all the eggs, all the 15 eggs. I'm going to crack every single thing in. You can use more, you can use less. Then I'm going to add in my milk, the evaporated milk. Then I'm going to whisk everything well to combine. You can do without the milk. Actually, you can just use powdered milk, or you can just use warm milk if you want to do a business so that you don't incur more losses or more costs rather. Just before I combine my wet and dry ingredients, I'm going to add in my butter into these dry ingredients. The butter is in between wet and dry, so but it fits more into the dry model. So I'm just going to add it into the flour. Then I'm going to mix everything well to combine till it has this texture. You see what I'm talking about. Before you start using your hands for this, make sure they are thoroughly washed and they are very, very neat so that to prevent contamination. So this is actually the texture I'm talking about. It's going to be crumb-like, a crumbling texture. It's not going to be too fine again. It's going to be crumbling, so that's what you want. So once you've done with that, then you want to make a well in the middle of the flour so that it can be easier for you to mix the dry and wet ingredients properly. So I'm going to add in the wet ingredients, then I'm just going to start mixing everything well. So you want to first of all mix it before you start adding any more water. Make sure you add the water bit by bit because this dough can be funny at times. It can look very dry and the next second you add water and it just becomes too runny or something. Just add water bit by bit. One thing you must avoid is kneading for too long. If you knead for too long, then it is going to activate the gluten in the flour, then it is going to be very hard. That's why you have hard chinchin. Then the second mistake I made was that I added in so much water, so I was not getting it was actually fine, but I was not getting the beautiful shape I wanted. It was actually kind of normal. It was normal, but it was not really looking like machine cuts. That's what I like going for, like let it look perfect, but it was really fine actually in the end. If you find yourself in my shoe where you need it for too long, then just place this in the fridge, let it rest for like 30 seconds, 30 minutes to 1 hour. Then the gluten that has activated will deactivate itself. So that's when you will now use the dough. Just watch what I will do. Oh God. So after 30 minutes, this is what it's looking like. I just brought it out of the fridge. It's looking really perfect, really good. So I'm just going to cut out the parts that I'm going to use right now. Then I'm just going to repeat the process later on. Then I'm going to flour the part I'm going to cut right now. Flour it, mold this well, make the flour touch everywhere. Then I'm going to flour my work surface, flour my kneading pin. Then I'm going to flatten it before I start using my pizza cutter. So the reason why I'm flying everywhere is because I don't want it to stick, and you want to be very careful. Don't overfly this, because if you overfly it, once you start frying it in the deep oil, then it is going to bubble. The oil is going to bubble, and it's my boil over, or should I say fry over, anyone. Then I'm going to flatten this properly. Then I'm going to use my pizza cutter to cut it out. Then I'm going to make two shapes. I'm going to be making the strip shape, the strip one, that's the long one. Then I'm going to be making the regular cubed one as well. So once I'm done cutting that, I'm going to transfer it into a flat tray as well, so that it does not stick to the tray. Then I'm going to set it aside. You can use a napkin to cover the chinchin dough, like this one, like this. Cover it so that it does not dry out, but I don't think you need that since you've coated this in flour already. So the flour will help retain moisture in the cut chinchin dough already. So you can actually see me making fatter strips, and I'm separating it from it, unlike the other one that I just cut the strips and I just did everything once. That's because I was making the long one, but now I'm going to make the cube one, that's the small ones. That's why I'm making the strips a bit fatter. Then I'm going to cut them into cubes, just like what you will see very soon. So this is actually the cubed one I'm talking about. Sorry, I'm not sure when I cut the strips into this, but these are tiny strips that I'm cutting. Then I'm just going to make sure that everything is well coated in flour. Then I'm going to transfer it on a flat tray. Then I'll set that aside for frying later. So this is everything looking really demure, looking perfect, and it's time to fry, and my oil is heating up already. I'm using vegetable oil for this, not palm oil. So I'm just going to wait for the oil to get moderately hot. Then I'm just going to add in the strips one first before I start frying the tiny ones. It is one thing to know how to mix your chinchin dough, and it's another thing to know how to fry it. You don't just place your chinchin dough in the oil and allow it to fry. You won't like the outcome. Once you place it in the oil, then just make sure you scatter it a bit with the spoon or the whatever it is to fry. Just scatter it a bit so it does not stick together. Another thing is that you want to go in at regular intervals to stir this around so that one side does not fry and the other side is still pale. You want everything evenly brown. Another tip I would love to drop is that you don't allow the chinchin brown to your satisfaction. Let it be nearly brown to your satisfaction. Then you take it out and set aside to cool off. Then you want to transfer it to a paper towel so that it can drain out the excess oil before you can now transfer it into a bowl when it is cool, like not too cool, like let it just drop, the temperature drop significantly. Once it cools down a bit, I'm going to transfer it into this big bowl, this big bath. Then I'm going to add in more. Like this is the best part. Adding in more. So this is basically it. Then I'm going to fry the tiny ones as well. Then I'm going to repeat the same process with everything. Just keep on watching. Now I'm going to fry the tiny ones, then I'm just going to repeat the same process, give it a stir so that it does not stick. Then I'm going to interrupt once in a blue moon so that it fries evenly and perfectly as well. If you have been watching till this point, you now have not told you to subscribe. Then this is the best time for you to hit the subscribe button down below and like this video. It means that you're enjoying this video if you've watched to this point. Thanks a lot and I really appreciate it. So just keep on watching till the video is finished so that you can get every single tip you need. Now I'm going to take this one out as well. It is not brown to my satisfaction. That's because I know that it's going to still brown to my satisfaction because it's still very hot. Then I'm going to set aside, fry the rest. Then I'm going to add it into the batch that is in the bowl, big bowl. So that is basically it. So if you want to take this as a business, you actually want to separate the long one from the short ones. Then you want to use less eggs, like 7 not 15, or 8 eggs at most. Then you use water to top the rest up. That way you make more profit. But if you're after quality, then you can use everything I used in this recipe, and your customers will definitely come back for more once they see this quality. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.